Client is shown 4 cards of illustrated everyday objects one at a time: a shoe, a chair, scissors, and glasses. Client is asked to name each object.
Shoe, chair, scissors, glasses.
If client is unable to name the object because of expressive problems, examiner asks him or her to point to the target objects on the first page of the test booklet. Examiner says, "Show me the shoe," etc. This process is used for each of the 4 objects. Show me the shoe. Show me the glasses. Show me the scissors. And show me the chair. If client has expressive or receptive problems and is unable to identify the objects by understanding, examiner will present the second page of the booklet in which similar objects to those on the cards are illustrated. Examiner shows the cards one by one and asks, "Where is this?" Client has to point to similar objects on the page. If client has expressive receptive problems and is unable to identify the objects by understanding, examiner will present the second page in the booklet in which similar objects to those on the cards are illustrated. Examiner shows cards one by one and asks, "Where is this?" Client has to point to a similar object on the page. Where is this? Where is this? Where is this? And where is this? Here is the scoring guidelines for the visual identification of objects section, where C stands for client. Client is shown 4 cards of illustrated shapes, one at a time: a circle, a triangle, a rectangle, and a square. Client is asked to name each shape.
Circle, triangle, rectangle, square.
If client is unable to name the shapes because of expressive problems, examiner presents the page with all 4 shapes in the test booklet and says, "Show me the circle," etc. This process is used for each of the shapes. Show me the circle. Show me the triangle. Show me the rectangle. Show me the square. If client has expressive receptive problems and is unable to identify the shapes by understanding, examiner presents the next page in the booklet in which similar shapes are illustrated. Examiner shows cards one by one and asks, "Where is this?" Client has to point to the similar shape on the page. Where is this? Where is this? Where is this? Presented here is the scoring guidelines for the visual identification of shape section. Examiner shows client 1 card with 3 overlapping objects: a banana, a pear, and an apple. Examiner asks client, "What is shown on the card?"
Banana, apple, and pear.
If client has difficulty in identifying the figures, examiner shows client the page in the test booklet with 6 separate figures. Examiner says, "Point to the objects that you see on the card." Presented here is the scoring guidelines for the overlapping figure section. Client is shown 3 photographs of objects taken from unusual angles: a telephone, a hammer, and a fork. For each of the photographs, client is asked, "What do you see in the photograph?"
A telephone. Fork. Hammer.
If client has language impairment, examiner should use the appropriate page from the text booklet. Examiner asks, "Point to the photograph that suits to the big one on top of the page." And again, point to the photograph that suits the big one on top of the page. One more time, go ahead and point to the photograph that suits the big one on top of the page. Great. Presented here is the scoring guidelines for object constancy section. Go ahead and show me your right hand. Okay, now go ahead and show me your left leg. Great. Now go ahead and put your right hand on your left ear for me. Very good. And now go ahead and put your left hand on your right leg. Very good. Presented here is the scoring guidelines for the spatial perception, Part A. Point to my right eye. Okay, go ahead and point to my left shoulder. Now go ahead and point to my left leg. There you go. Point to my right hand. Presented here is the scoring guidelines for the spatial perception, Part B. Okay. Examiner will ask client to relate to the directions of objects in the surroundings. Examiner says, "On what side of you is the door?"
The left.
"On what side of you is the window?"
The left.
"On which side of you do I sit?"
In front of me.
Now point to an object which is on your left side.
My phone.
There you go. Scoring guidelines for the spatial perception, Part C. Client received a score of 4 on every question as identified by the scoring sheet. Be sure to keep your timer going through this section along with others so you can note their attention span.